Build to rent is exploding in the US, and there's a reason why. Until recently, it's been reserved for institutional investors, big hedge funds, but now it's being made available to normal investors just like you and me. All right, so what is build to rent? Well, there's a couple of ways you can look at build to rent. In some communities, the entire community is built with renters in mind. In other words, the whole community is built and each property is rented. Then there are other communities like the one I'm in right now that Lennar has built that is really for residents. However, they are selling just a few properties within this community to investors so that they can rent them out. And that is one of the beautiful things about a brand new build as a rental is it's efficiently built anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 to maybe 2,000 square feet. They're brand new construction. They're usually 3-2, 4-3 properties. And so they're super efficient, brand new. And this is one of the reasons why residents love them. And it's another reason why investors love brand new builds for their rental portfolio. Now, build to rent has been around for a while now, but until recently, this is only something that institutions have taken advantage of because they have very, very deep pockets. They're able to buy entire tracts of land, develop the properties, put in utilities, build up these homes, and then rent them all out. They have the money to do that. But the great thing about a group like Lennar is they are now opening up some of their communities to allow individual investors to buy properties just like an institution would and rent them out in their planned communities. And so I think this is a fantastic opportunity where it once was just available to institutions, now it's available for the everyday investor. And we know that we have an affordability issue here in the United States from a housing standpoint, and so more and more people are renting, and more residents, they want new properties, they want new houses. And as an investor, the great thing about buying it from a group like Lennar is that a lot of times they're offering incentives for purchasing these properties from an interest rate standpoint. They'll knock some of the points off of the interest rate, make it more affordable for you as an investor. And so that's just one of the advantages and why build to rent is growing in popularity among investors in the United States. So why do real estate investors love brand new builds as rental properties? Well, I think there's several reasons why. First and foremost, like we always like to talk about the resident is the asset. And I think this is probably one of the biggest things is that residents love brand new builds. Just imagine moving into a house that's brand new. You've signed a 1 or 2 year lease. A lot of times these properties are built with brand new technology in them. So they have smart home technology and they have, some of them even have community-wide amenities, things like a pool or a clubhouse or something like that. And so from an investor standpoint, the number one thing you want is you want a long-term resident. You want a resident who's going to be happy, stay there long-term, and pay you every single month. And this is what you find with brand new builds. And the second thing for you as an investor, not only do you keep a resident long-term, but guess what? There's just not a lot of maintenance requests. You don't have to worry about CapEx expenditure, which a lot of investors usually have to put a lot of money off to the side because their roof may need to be replaced in 3 or 4 years, or their HVAC may need to be replaced. But when you have a new build, you a lot of times have warranties on these things, and then maintenance is not that big of a deal as long as the quality of the build is really good. So we're in a Lennar home right now and the quality is fantastic. So as long as the quality is good, then usually you're not going to have a lot of calls for maintenance, which keeps your maintenance prices low. Now, I would, as an investor, still set aside money for maintenance, for CapEx, but just knowing, especially in these first several years, you're not going to have to come out of pocket a lot to get things fixed is another reason why new builds are a good idea for real estate investors. I think the third thing is when I'm thinking about real estate investment, I like to think about like portfolio allocation. And so some people think about single family residential and then buying multifamily or commercial. I tend to think you can buy in different areas, regions of the US, or you can buy different asset classes inside the same area. So if you were buying in Birmingham, Alabama, and you wanted to buy in a Class C neighborhood, I would probably take you and show you several different areas. They're going to be a little bit older house stock. They're going to be good houses, but you're going to need to renovate the property. You're going to need to definitely set aside some money for maintenance, for CapEx, those types of things. But in your portfolio, what if you added a couple of new builds into the portfolio mix? So I think asset allocations, another reason why savvy real estate investors like brand new builds. And probably the fourth thing I would say as a benefit to a real estate investor is just the predictability of cash flow. You know, you're going to have the same amount of money coming in every month. There's not going to be wild swings with maintenance, again, with something like a roof or an HVAC or a water heater. So the predictability is really good. And then you also, because you're buying in a new community, you're buying a new home, then what happens is you can probably better predict the appreciation of that property. And what I love about like this area that we're in right now from Lennar is that you have a lot of the properties are owned by homeowners, and then a few are for investors to own as rentals. And so I think that's a great thing, because whenever you decide to sell that property, you've really got two options. You can sell it as a rental property to another investor, or you can more than likely, I would say 99% sure, you could put this on the rental market. And again, just the appreciation is going to be more predictable. So predictability is another reason why real estate investors love these types of properties. Now, there's at least three ways to get involved in build to rent. Now, the first one is really reserved for people who have probably have a background in building. I actually know somebody here in my city who's been doing this for a long time, probably 20 to 30 years. He builds communities, he sells some of them, and then he holds rentals in his own portfolio. He does about 100 a year. And so if you're a very experienced builder, then you could probably get into the build to rent investment from a rental standpoint. Now, the other way is to partner with somebody who's a great builder and do this. Now, there are all kinds of expenses and complications with that. And so you would still need to know what you were doing, because the risk is pretty high. And then the third way is a way that I think is probably the best for most normal investors like you and like me, and that's through Lennar's marketplace. They have an online marketplace. You can see all of the properties across the country that are available to people like you and me, and you can go on there and they have all of the numbers that you can manipulate, how much you're going to charge in rent, how much you're going to put down, the interest rate. All of these things are available for you to kind of play with and see what works for you. And then it's just as simple as going out and looking at the property and making an offer. And so those are really the three ways that you can invest in build to rent today. So what does the future of build to rent hold? I think we're probably in the third inning of a 9-inning game. And so there's plenty of room left, especially as more and more people are opting to rent. And that's just the way it is. Whether it's affordability is an issue or whether it's just they want to have choices. I think we're very early in this ball game. And so build to rent as an investment is going to be around for a long time. And now, if you want to hear our opinion about why we think passive income is a myth, go ahead and check out this video right here.